Okay, so the next notch is just a small groove that goes all the way around your stick, and this one is used for holding string. If you're going to tie something to a stick and you don't want it to slip up and down the stick or something, this is a good one. And it's relatively easy to cut, and you don't have to be fancy because it really it has to be as fancy as you want it to be, put it that way, because the purpose of it is, for me anyways, is to just hold a stick or hold a string in place. So you know, it is what it is. It's not a fancy notch by any means. It can be as deep as you need it to be, but usually what I do is I will run my knife around it just like this a couple times until I get it exactly as the depth I want it to be. Then I'll move over an 1/8 inch or so, depending on how wide I want it. You can make it wider, and I'll do the same thing and just run my knife over it. Then I just go back through and put the tip of my knife in there, since this is a small groove, and just start snapping out that little bit of wood that's in there. And you could go along there and just clean it up. It's no big deal. Clean it up as well as you want. Like I said, this one's not, it don't have to be fancy. If all you're doing is to hold a string in place, then you don't have to waste a whole lot of time with it or anything like that, because it is what it is. You know, none of these notches have to be perfect. That's what's great about wood. You know, you can, and if you don't get it exactly the way it is, you can always readjust it, but that's what you end up with, is a nice groove all the way around there. And like I said, this is the one I usually use if I'm making a gorge hook out of bone or whatever, and it works real good for that. And it works good for if you're tying string to something and you don't want it to slide up and down the shaft. You know, it works good for a whole bunch of different uses. Okay, let's I'm gonna pause there and then we'll go to the next notch. Okay guys, the next notch that I use is a notch that I use all the time, because one of my hobbies is to build atlatls, and the type of atlatl that I like to build is what they call the basket maker style atlatl. So this notch is pretty important for that, because this is the notch that actually makes the hook in the end of your atlatl. But there's a lot more uses for it than just an atlatl. You can make a hanger out of it for hanging your pots on it. It can be used to hang all kinds of different stuff off of it. But anyways, a lot of guys will, and I'm not going to do it with my knife, a lot of guys will just put their knife across here like this, and they'll take a baton and they'll hammer it in as deep as they want. Then they'll turn around and come like this and do the same thing and baton it in as deep as they need it, and that works just fine. And sometimes I will do that, but being that this is a nice piece of softwood, I'm going to kind of do it the harder way, because I can, and that's the way I like to do it. And you know, it's all in preference, but I just take it and I put that X in it this way, and then I put another X in it this way, and you see I'm putting this on the outside of my leg because I'm really putting some pressure on it. When I was doing that light whittling, it's one thing to whittle here if you're doing light whittling. If you're going to do some really heavy stuff where you're putting lots of pressure, you need to get that knife on the outside of your leg, because you can hurt yourself really bad. But being that this is just this little notch stuff that I've been doing, you know, most of the time when I'm doing it, I got my elbows on my knees and my freaking knife is way outside, this part of my leg, because this part of your leg is one part that you do not want your knife in, especially if you're doing this. You don't want to come down and cut yourself. You hurt yourself really bad. That's why a lot of times you'll see me sitting out here like this, and most of the time my knife is almost beyond my knees. But that's only when I'm doing light whittling. If I'm doing some real heavy pushing and stuff, or some heavy whittling, it's going on the outside of my leg. But anyways, and that's just a little bit of knife safety. I don't always follow the rules. Probably nobody always follows the rules, and I'll be the first one to admit it. But anyways, so then after you get your X in there, you just take your knife and you get down in beyond the X and you whittle this out like so. And you come over to this side of the X and you whittle out like so. What you end up with is something like that, which it isn't done. You got to keep digging that knife in there like so, and whittling it out on both sides. And you do the same thing here. And whittle that out, and then you come down into the middle of it and take that out. And you just keep working it and working it until you get what you need. And basically, what you end up with is something that looks like this. And when it's put up like this, it looks like that, or like this, like that. And the great thing about this is that it's a hook. So you could take, oh, I'll use this, but you could take like a pot and hook it right on there, and it ain't going nowhere. And a lot of people do that. And it's a pretty strong hook too. I could yank on that pretty hard and it ain't going nowhere. So that's the next notch that I wanted to go over with you guys. And I call it a hook notch. And another notch that is very useful is a number 7 notch, which is a lot like the hook notch, only it's much easier to make. And I will show you that next. Okay guys, I'm back. So the last notch I want to show you guys is a number 7 notch, and it's an important notch too, because it's great for building traps also, and multiple things you can use it for. If you can imagine it, you could probably use either of these notches for it, or one of these notches for it. But anyways, number 7 notch is pretty easy. You just take your knife and you make a straight down cut like that. Then you come on and you turn your stick around, and then you come in at an angle to your cut, and as you pop out that piece of wood, and you keep doing that until you get it as deep as you need it. And you just keep working it out until you get there. And the angle can vary. It depends on what you're going to use it for and all that. I mean, all these notches can be adjusted or modified to suit your needs, and that's what's great about bushcraft. You know, there's no one way to do something, and usually if you can imagine it, you can do it. So, you know, you just keep working at it until you get it to where you want it. You know, so and then when you're done, this is what you end up with. You end up with something that looks like that, and it's just a nice number 7 notch in there. You know, and you can clean these up, and you can modify them, and you can make them deeper or shallower, depending on what you're going to use it for. And you know, it's another one, great one for traps, because there are a lot of traps where, like a figure 4 trap, where it hooks to the side of something like that, and you know, and trap triggers and all that stuff. So anyways, I'll be right back to you. So anyways, these are all the different notches that you can put in different things, and you know, they're all useful. They all have their own little thing that you could do them for. I mean, heck, notches were so important that, you know, back in the day, that you know, if you know how to make a notch, you could make yourself a house via the log cabin. So, you know, and these are great for traps and stuff. And this stick here is one of the sticks that I usually will make up. And if I'm trying to teach a kid how to whittle first time around, I usually will make a stick up like this and tell him, hey, copy it. And once you get to to where you can copy it, then you can move on to other things, you know, via like atlatls and stuff like that. And you know, they're fun to do. It keeps you in practice when you like to whittle and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's many more notches, but these are the ones that I use most. So I figured I would just do it and show you guys how to do some of these notches, or you know, whatever. This is mostly aimed towards younger kids, because obviously the woodsman that's in the outdoors all the time already knows how to make most of these notches, but or all of them, even more actually. But anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a little lesson on notches and stuff like that, and just to tell you to get your young ones out there. You know, when they get old enough to get a pocket knife, you know, do something like this and tell them, you know, make this, because you know, these notches are pretty important. I mean like the V notch, with it you can make a bow drill set, you know, and that V notch is pretty important to that part of the set. You know, and same with the point. You know, if you teach a kid how to do that point, then he can make a spindle for that bow drill set, and you know, the whole 9 works. Same with traps. You know, if you learn these basic notches, it's just some sticks and a pocket knife, and you could be trapping. You know, sticks and stones, I should say, in a pocket knife, and you could be easily trapping and catching yourself some food in a situation where maybe you don't have any string, or maybe it's all you have is a knife. So, I mean, it's something to think about. I think a lot of people overlook the whole part of bushcraft where it comes to just these basic things. And so I just figured I'd do a little video on it, and just wanted to say thank you, and that's my take on it. And if you like it, subscribe, like, share my videos. The whole reason that I did this is because we're going to start doing some notch-based traps, primitive traps, and I figured before we did that, we might as well go over a bunch of different notches. So I just want to thank you guys, and that's the end of the video. So thank you.